Let us pray. Our Father, keep us mindful of the special and unique opportunity we have to work for our constituents, our province, and our country. And in that work, give us both strength and wisdom. Amen.
Introduction of visitors. Presenting petitions.
Mr. Lloyd Minister.
Now, Mr. Speaker, on behalf of the Honourable Member Bonneville, the Minister of Agriculture, I wish to table petitions from 119 teachers representing 7 schools in the Bonneville constituency regarding the Teachers' Retirement Fund.
All by Panoka Rimby.
17 teachers at the Muriel Clayton School, Elementary School in Airdrie related to the Teachers' Retirement Fund.
Then Edmonton Gold Bar.
Of Health, I wish to present petitions from 102 teachers employed at 6 schools in the Edmonton-Glenora constituency. Mr. Speaker, these petitions advocate certain improvements to and a prompt resolution of matters with respect to the Teachers' Retirement Fund.
Mr. Gold Bar.
Petition from 122 teachers of 7 schools in Gold Bar requesting an early resolution to the situation around the Teachers' Retirement Fund.
Mr. North.
Citizens of Red Deer expressing the need for a native court worker to be assigned to the city to work on behalf of the growing native population in Red Deer, and I'll be following up with the minister.
Presenting reports by standing and special committees. Notices of motions. Introduction of bills.
Mr. Speaker, I request leave to introduce a bill being Bill 16, being Public Trustee Amendment Act 1992. Mr. Speaker, the purpose of this bill is to amend the Public Trustee Act to make it easier and less costly to administer small estates, as well as making the setting of interest rates paid on trusts more responsive to market conditions.
The Honourable Member for Drumheller has moved first reading to Bill number 16, Public Trustee Amendment Act 1992. Those members in favor of first reading, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, please say no. Carried.
Number 16, Public Trustee Amendment Act 1992, introduced by the Honourable Member, Mr. Schumacher, is now read a first time.
Mountain View.
I request leave to introduce Bill number 264, being the Financial Accountability Act. Mr. Speaker, this act would amend a number of statutes to make the government more accountable and efficient, and to eliminate the potential for political interference in the investment and disbursement of public funds. A number of the highlights, Mr. Speaker, would be to strengthen the powers of the Auditor General to do value for money audits. It would also require disclosure of tax expenditures or revenue foregone due to special tax loopholes. It would require the tabling of public accounts within 7 months of their completion. It would put the Treasury branches at arm's length from the Treasurer's Department. And one of the other highlights, Mr. Speaker, would be to ensure that the lottery funds were not used as a political slush fund.
Right on.
The Honourable Member for Calgary Mountain View has moved first reading of Bill number 264, Financial Accountability Act. Those in favor of first reading, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, please say no. Carried.
Bill number 264, Financial Accountability Act, introduced by the Honourable Member, Mr. Hawksworth, is now read a first time.
Speaker, I move that Bill 16, the Public Trustee Amendment Act 1992, is introduced by the Honourable Member from Drumheller. It be put on the order paper in the Government Bills and Orders.
Having heard the motion, those in favor, please say aye. Opposed, please say no. So ordered.
Tabling returns and reports.
On results and evaluating how well students do in school, especially to improve their education, I'm pleased to file with the Assembly today 3 reports. The first being the Achievement Testing Program Provincial Report from the June 1991 administration, as well as samples of student writing from the June 1991 Grade 9 Social Studies Achievement Test, and samples of student writing from the June 1991 Social Studies 30 Diploma Examination.
Minister.
For the year 1991.
To table letters from 23 teachers from Park Meadow School in Lethbridge expressing their concern and requesting resolution of the TRF.
Guests.
Silence.
There we go. It's my pleasure today to introduce to you, members of the Assembly, 54 students visiting us from Concordia College High School. I think this is the largest group I've ever introduced here. Each year, Mr. Speaker, their social studies teacher, Mr. Lloyd Grossfield, makes sure that his students get to come and watch the proceedings of the Assembly, and I'm pleased that he does that. He's accompanied today by Ms. Patricia Petuskin and Ms. Michelle Haberstock. I'd ask the students and teachers to rise and receive the warm welcome of the Assembly.
Member for Vegreville.
37 students from grade 11, 10 and 11 students from Mundare School in the heart of the beautiful Vegreville constituency. They're accompanied today by teachers Mr. Alan Dubik, Mr. Ernie Chapenia, and Mrs. Sylvia Zaharkiw, who is, by the way, the daughter of the member who served for Vegreville in this assembly for 15 years, Mr. John Bachuk. They're in the public gallery. I'd like them to rise and receive the warm welcome of members of the Assembly.
Up both pages, please. Clerk.
Ministerial statements.
Mr. Speaker, the World Health Organization has declared today World Health Day. Created to commemorate the ratification of the World Health Organization's Constitution on April 7, 1948, World Health Day draws the world's attention to a special health issue each year. This year, the theme chosen for World Health Day is Heartbeat, the Rhythm of Health. And it reminds us all of the significance of heart disease worldwide and the actions individuals and communities can take to prevent or reduce the impact of heart disease. The Canadian Heart Health initiatives currently underway are a national effort to address this major health issue. As a provincial government, we are joining efforts with health units, voluntary agencies, and professional associations in the implementation of a comprehensive strategy for the prevention and control of cardiovascular disease. Earlier this afternoon, I had the opportunity to participate in the Leduc HeartWorks project. It is an excellent example of how Albertans individually and collectively are committing their energy and intellect to a healthier future by promoting heart health. In conclusion, Mr. Speaker, the Canadian health system is a model which affirms the fundamental value and equality of the individual. On this World Health Day, as Canadians and Albertans, we proudly recommit ourselves to the principles on which the Canadian health system is based and acknowledge its unique contribution to our distinct national identity.
Leader of the Opposition.
Speaker, certainly World Health Day is an important day for us in Canada and around the world, and we're quite glad to participate and welcome the statement by the Minister. Mr. Speaker, I agree that the Canadian health system is a model, Mr. Speaker, but I have to say at the same time there's a great many pressures on our healthcare model that we have in Canada. We now have politicians, Mr. Manning for one, going around saying we can no longer afford it. We have to bring in user fees. We really have to dismantle it, and I think some very dangerous trends in that position. And in fairness to the minister, I'm glad that she's always taken the stand that it should be a universal program, but I think we have to recognize there are pressures. Mr. Speaker, also I do believe that if we're going to maintain our system with an aging population, we are going to have to look clearly at some different delivery systems, Mr. Speaker. Obviously moving more towards a prevention model rather than an illness model, to look at such things as community clinics, midwifery. Will save money over the long haul, Mr. Speaker. We have to look at the whole fee-for-service. So there's many things we can do to even improve our system. But I'd like to conclude, Mr. Speaker, by noting that the theme chosen from World Health Day is Heartbeat, the rhythm of health. And if I may give an advertisement for the Minister of Transportation, because on this weekend there's a roast for Boomer Dare, and I understand it's going to the Heart Fund, so we can go and pick on Boomer and also donate to a worthy
Oral question period.
Opposition.
The Premier has been traveling the province trying to blame the deficit on falling revenues, Mr. Speaker, instead of the real reason, the government's mismanagement. Last year they brought in a PR budget, Mr. Speaker. Threw in everything but the kitchen sink that says they had a balanced budget, one-time lottery funds, the sale of AGT one time. Overestimated the revenues, Mr. Speaker, such as oil and gas and sales of Crown lands. Mr. Speaker, I have here a little newspaper ad from a year ago bragging about the balanced budget, Mr. Speaker. Paid for by the taxpayers of Alberta, Mr. Speaker. They also paid taxpayers' dollars on expensive television ads. A total waste of taxpayers' money. My question to the Premier is simply this. How can Albertans believe in anything that this Premier says when he completely destroyed his credibility on a fantasy of a balanced budget last year?
The provincial treasurer may want to augment my comments, but I think there's absolutely nothing wrong with the government striving to reach a balanced budget. It is a tough target these days. Sure, people can laugh. Go ahead and laugh. But it is something that we're strive to do, and it is a tough target, and we tried to hit it. And in this province of ours, where so much of our revenues are based on oil and gas, it's difficult. It's extremely difficult to forecast your revenues. But what we can do is control the spending. And that's what we have done. We have controlled spending better in this government than any government in Canada over the past 6 years. Now, the honourable member talks about mismanagement. In fact, Mr. Speaker, the management of spending in this province has been the best of any government in Canada. If your revenues are down, and ours are down, seriously, they are seriously down. They're almost as bad as 1986. Well, what is the solution? I gather the NDP from their policies are to load taxes on either the corporate sector or the individuals. We do not want to do that, particularly now we have a fragile economy when the rest of North America is in a recession.
Good. They told us we had a booming economy. Now we're in a recession, Mr. Speaker. The reality is we're not talking about striving to balance the budget. We're talking about truth and honesty to the people of Alberta, Mr. Speaker. Almost everybody was saying that you overestimated the revenues, except this government, Mr. Speaker. Right. And my question is simply this, Mr. Speaker. The truth of the matter, I'd like the Premier to answer this, is that it was for political reasons going into your PC convention that you had to talk about a balanced budget. It had little to do with the budget, Mr. Speaker. That's the truth of the matter.
Speaker, what a foolish notion by the Honourable Leader of the Opposition. And by the way, I noticed, Mr. Speaker, he went to the same school that some of the other NDP leaders in opposition went to, so that when they asked their question, we all watch, throw the paper down, Mr. Speaker,
Same acting
in
school.
indignation. It's kind of interesting to see. He's learned his lessons well on how to be indignant. Coming back, Mr. Speaker, to the budget, the government of Alberta got the most realistic assessment of revenues that it was possible to get. But there has been tremendous erosion of prices and revenues from oil and gas. Now that's a fact of life in this province. We live with that. And when it happens, we do face deficits, large deficits. But what we will do is we will work to control spending, to control deficits, to pay off the debt, to stimulate the economy, because those are the messages that the people of Alberta are giving us.
Final.
That was predicted by most everybody but the government, Mr. Speaker, including the opposition. Mr. Speaker, the erosion is in this government's credibility. That's what it's all about, Mr. Speaker. And the Premier can go around and yammer all he wants, but we're going to end up at least $1 billion, probably more, with another deficit, Mr. Speaker, no matter what he says. My question simply to the Minister, I'd like to follow up. This is the type of wasteful spending that you can get away from, Mr. Speaker. We don't need to spend money misleading the people of Alberta. And I want to ask the Premier, how much did this eventually cost us, Mr. Speaker?
Yeah,
These ads about the balanced budget. Tell us about that.
Well, Mr. Speaker, I fail to understand the Honourable Leader of the Opposition. Surely when the government presents its budget, the budget should be communicated to the public. I don't know what his big problem is. Frankly, Mr. Speaker, it is true that last year the Canadian economy was coming out of a recession, and for 5 months there was growth. But for the first time since World War II, a recovery collapsed in Canada, and this one collapsed. And therefore it impacted late in the calendar year of last year on Alberta, and it hurt people in this province. There's nothing strange about the fact that a year ago it looked like we had a recovery coming on, and then it collapsed, and it impacted, the recession in North America impacted on Alberta, and it hurt people, and people are worried. And so now the government, at a time of lower and lower revenues, also has the problem of trying to support people who have lost their jobs and help people to hold their jobs and get new ones and better ones. And that's the choices we're making now.
You know, Mr. Speaker, it's, what's hurt people is mismanagement, exaggeration from this government, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to designate my second question to the member from Edmonton, Jasper Place, Mr. Speaker.
Today, the Grand Alberta Paper Company has proposed construction of a CTMP mill which will create or manufacture fine quality magazine paper without chlorine bleach, and also a sawmill to produce finger jointed, laminated, and molded products which, according to their information, have value added equal to double that of a paper mill and 3 times that of a kraft mill, and they're proposing to do all of this without any taxpayer subsidy. I would like to ask the Minister of Forestry, Lands and Wildlife if he will now explain why he allowed himself and this government to be stampeded into signing a whole range of deals for projects that provide a fraction of the value added, fraction of the jobs, at enormous taxpayers' expense, and create chlorine pollution to boot.
Mr. Speaker, I sat in anticipation today wondering what the opposition was going to come up to say negative about this. Here we have a company that has a proposal to develop a project in the province of Alberta. If you know, the economy of Canada is not in great shape. Alberta is recognized as having one of the best economies in this country, if not the best. And to have a proposal like this come forward that creates jobs all across this province is one that should be received in a positive light. And with respect, Mr. Speaker, the projects that have been announced today have a tremendous economic benefit and spin-off. And if the proof is today in the city of Edmonton, the jobs and the employment picture here in this city, let alone in Alberta, is much better for them being here.
Comment, Mr. Speaker, was about the government, not about the project. Although there is a point, the project seeks to tap a market which has been opened up through the efforts of the environmental movement primarily. Time magazine, for example, is boycotting chlorine-bleached paper. That's why there's a huge market. In fact, Time is mentioned in their material today. To the Minister of the Environment, will he undertake to work with the company over the next year toward presenting a zero effluent proposal so that we could make this something that's truly environmentally friendly for world markets?
Mr. Speaker, the company has proposed to incorporate state-of-the-art environmental technology, and indeed the company has indicated that if they can iron out some of the problems that have become evident relative to the closed-loop system, then that indeed then will become state-of-the-art technology, and they will pursue that technology relative to the pulping component of this particular project.
If this and if that, is the minister not aware that in Saskatchewan and Meadow Lake and in British Columbia at Chetwynd, they have ironed out these problems and they are building the mill? So I'd like to ask him why Alberta doesn't insist on a zero effluent mill to make this state-of-the-art world-class facility.
Well, Mr. Speaker, the honourable member, is often wrong but never in doubt. Mr. Speaker, with respect to the closed-loop systems that have been incorporated into the mills that have been mentioned, some problems have been identified. And those problems involve contaminants coming through the system and back into the pulp. That has been identified as a problem by the proponents for the Grand Alberta paper mill project, and it has been indicated to me that if they can iron out these problems through research and development, then that's the technology that will be applied.
Edmonton Glengarry, on behalf of the Liberal Party.
Mr. Speaker, Albertans have learned about the application by Grand Alberta Paper to build a pulp mill or a pulp paper mill with value-added components in the Grand Prairie Manning area. It is our understanding that other enterprises are also tendering for the same tree area resource. We understand that the company, Grand Alberta Paper, does not wish government subsidy, government direct assistance. This is almost too good to be true from a government that has pushed money out to businesses like nobody could believe. I'd like the Premier to give an assurance to Albertans that no direct financial assistance will be given to Grand Alberta Paper nor any other company tendering for these Alberta resources.
Well, Mr. Speaker, we will do what we've continued to do, and we will try and make sure that we have the strongest possible economy in this province, that we will diversify that economy, we will broaden the opportunities for Albertans, and we'll also try and provide those opportunities throughout the province, not just in the major cities.
Speaker, that we're likely to see more direct financial assistance. The second question is this. ALPAC was a great embarrassment to the Alberta people. It was a charade in the sense that the Premier stripped authority from the Minister of Environment. Will the Premier give us his assurance? Will the Premier give us his assurance that a full, complete public hearing process will be allowed to take place before any FMAs are signed or any licenses given?
Well, Mr. Speaker, I know the honourable member is alert to what goes on here in the House, and he must know that environmental impact assessments are required. The Natural Resources Conservation Board was approved by the members of this Assembly, and this project would have to go before that board. All of the process is in place. As far as the honourable member saying that there's a certainty of government assistance to this corporation. There's no certainty of that at all. As a matter of fact, this is a proposal. There are many proposals. What I'm pleased about is that there are people with confidence in this province and who are prepared to come here and help us build a stronger province.
Here, here. Right. Order, please, honourable member, just for half a moment, please. I know that the repartee chair gets as much amusement as anyone else, but I think one exchange took place there which is a bit unfair, given the fact of the recuperating health of the particular member. Member for Edmonton Glengarry, please.
I don't want any sympathy from the honourable member from Vegreville, Mr. Speaker. I can look after myself. It was a dirty call and a dirty statement, but I can look after myself. Mr. Speaker, my last question is to the Premier. Mr. Speaker, the Grant Paper Company has talked about value added. I'd like the Premier to assure this Assembly by telling us what the strategy is to ensure that value added is in fact given to the people of Alberta before FMAs or licenses are put into place.
Honourable member for Edmonton Glengarry doesn't understand the process. The bill was debated in this legislature that each mill would have to go through. The value added in each one of these projects takes place not only through the construction phase, but if he were to take the time to read the forest management agreements, he would see there's phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4 in some cases, that adds value in each step of the way to keep more jobs here in this province. And the Grand Alberta project, if it were to proceed and gets approvals, will be subject to the same.
Agreed. Rick.
Mr. Speaker, I understand that the Minister of Energy and the Premier met yesterday in Calgary with representatives of the Petroleum Industry Associations. As you may be aware, Mr. Speaker, industry revenue shortfalls have been seriously eroded, thereby eroding the industry's capacity, frankly, to operate. I'm wondering, Mr. Speaker, can the Minister indicate any assurances or commitments that he was able to give the industry at this time of critical need?
The Independent Petroleum Association and the Canadian Petroleum Association were very appreciative of the Premier taking time from his schedule to meet with them. There's one message that was left with us, Mr. Speaker. It was that it's a tough environment to do business today in the oil and gas sector. The industry shared with us a number of externalities that are having a major impact on their businesses and other industries in North America that are in the energy sector. Going back to the Gulf War, OPEC overproduction, the uncertainty of exchange rates, a higher production of lower valued heavy oil in this province, Mr. Speaker, and lowering production of sweet crude oil. On natural gas, Mr. Speaker, we've seen unprecedented winters where the weather has been warmer than in any other time in recorded history on a consecutive basis. Mr. Speaker, with regard to the specific question posed by the member for Calgary Fish Creek, I should say that our ability to respond beyond our drilling incentive program that we put in place in the fall to try and create more activity is really constrained by a reduction in Crown revenues to the province. Mr. Speaker, it is quite clear that their pain is our pain. When they hurt, we hurt, and we are all trying to adjust to the new reality of energy revenues in this province.
Creek.
Mr. Speaker, in view of the Premier's and the Minister's reference to the serious impacts on the province's budgetary position, can he quantify for the Assembly precisely how great those impacts will be?
Mr. Speaker, the member for Westlock Sturgeon finds this humorous, and I did hear him say across the way, Mr. Speaker, bring back the National Energy Program. I find that shocking, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this year is one of the most devastating years in recent memory with regard to revenues. Honorable members will recall that we lost over $2 billion
Mr. Speaker, almost $3 billion in 1 year. That was a 64% drop in revenues between the 85-86 fiscal year and the 86-87 fiscal year, Mr. Speaker. It dropped from $4.4 billion to $1.6 billion. Mr. Speaker, the impact this year is of the same order of magnitude. We expect to see a drop of 36% in provincial revenues from the energy sector. As you know, Mr. Speaker, the budget figure for 91-92 was $3.3 billion in resource revenue. That figure now, I can confirm with the Assembly, Mr. Speaker, is a shortfall of $1.2 billion over our budget estimates for 91-92. And that has a lot to do, Mr. Speaker, with the externalities that I spoke about, the conditions of the OECD soft economies having an impact on West Texas Intermediate, and the North American recession that has reduced consumption of natural gas in our province. Mr. Speaker, there is optimism, and I should say that the industry was optimistic. They do see that natural gas is the fuel of the future, and we will do everything we can to maintain a stable, competitive industry in a North American context.
Burns, followed by Calgary Northwest.
Single Men's Hostel in the inner city of Edmonton operates a nursing service which is going to be cut in half by the acts that this government is going to wield in the upcoming budget, I understand. As of July 1st, 1992, their nursing staff is going to be cut in half. Now, Mr. Speaker, this service saves the nearby hospitals an awful lot of money. They're able to help out people, the transients in the inner city, provide prescription drugs for them. They even provide nursing service to the Women's Emergency Accommodation Shelter. It's a very cost-efficient service. And I'd like to ask the Health Minister why it is that she's not prepared to jump in and prevent these cuts that are planned for July 1992.
Hypothetical of sorts.
Mr. Speaker, I share the concern of the honourable member with respect to the health services that have traditionally operated within the Single Men's Hospital. We are working with the hospital in view of the decision to fund it in a different way than it has been in the past, and I'm hopeful that we can find a resolution to the issue of providing some nursing services in it.
Mr. Speaker, what the minister has just said is essentially that she's going along with reducing the nursing staff in half. Let me just indicate, right now there are 38 beds in 3 dormitories, and the nursing services alone provided in 1991 were over 9,000 to the inner city. Those people would be going to hospital, Mr. Speaker, if they can't go to this facility. My question to the minister is, will she absolutely commit to retaining the nursing service in this inner city agency so that it can provide a cost-efficient alternative to hospitalization?
Well, Mr. Speaker, there's more than just adding new dollars to find cost efficiency for community services. And what we're trying to do is ensure that we use the resources in health in the best possible way. I committed to the honourable member here, and I will restate the commitment that I am working through the Department of Health and is working with the hospital to try and deal with the needs of health in a very specific and specialized setting, and I'm not prepared to guarantee anything beyond that except that we are working towards a solution. That is what I believe health is all about. It's about thoughtfully working through the management of health issues within the resources we have, and I'm committing to do that.
Calgary Northwest, followed by Grand Prairie.
Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this government makes a good story about reducing interprovincial trade barriers, and in particular makes reference to the Western Accord Agreement of 1989. But 2 months ago, this government, Mr. Speaker, raised trade barriers, not lowered them. My question is to the Minister responsible for Public Affairs. Why did the government, supposedly committed to reducing interprovincial trade barriers, on February the 14th, send several Alberta printers a letter stating they could no longer bid on provincial printing contracts because their shops are in Manitoba and in British Columbia?
Mr. Speaker, we're committed to reduction of provincial trade barriers all across Canada. The Premier signed several years ago an accord with the Western Premiers to begin that process. It's since expanded virtually from coast to coast, and we support it.
Very effective. Maybe I'll put it another way then. Your policy, the government's policy, is not only affecting these printers, but is affecting Alberta printers and preventing them from competing in other provinces. Will the minister commit to solving this problem, not creating more barriers, and meet with these printers prior to the Queen's Printers Conference in Winnipeg this June?
Mr. Speaker, I don't know if a meeting is required, but I'll certainly undertake to solve the problem if one exists.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to return the discussion to the Grand Alberta paper announcement in Edmonton today, because even with all of the excellent opportunities being provided to our constituency of Grande Prairie with respect to jobs and economic spin-off through supply and services, my constituents are deeply concerned about what the negative impact could be on the environment. I'd like to ask the Minister of Environment if he has determined exactly what the impact will be on both the water and the air from such a development.
Mr. Speaker, no, we haven't determined what the impact will be, and that will be really the subject of an environmental impact assessment. And to explain the process, basically the company has agreed to follow the rules that will be set out in the proposed Environmental Protection and Enhancement Act, Bill 53, which calls for a very intensive environmental impact assessment followed by a hearing before the Natural Resources Conservation Board.
Supplementary, Mr. Speaker. The proposal put forth by this company is now with the government, and the question we have back in the constituency is, what is the process now, and how soon can something positive be identified to the people back home?
We do not have a proposal from the company. They have announced their intention to proceed and have defined clearly for the public on what areas they intend to proceed in. There is basically two separate issues that need to be dealt with here. The first one is the Manning project. Manning is a standalone sawmill that we requested proposals on, and those proposals were to be in by March the 31st. We received 4 proposals on that project, and we'll deal with them and as one part. The other part is the Grand Alberta paper project itself, and they will have to, of course, do more work and define their proposal more clearly with the government, and then step through the processes that were defined by the Minister of the Environment.
Edmonton Avonmore, followed by Vegreville.
Questions are to the Chair of the Professions and Occupations Council. Mr. Speaker, today on an open-line radio show in Calgary, the Chair of Professions and Occupations Council said that the government was not proceeding with designating midwives because it needed more public input on the issue. Mr. Speaker, Albertans have been talking to this government about midwifery for years through the Alberta Advisory Council on Women's Issues since 1988, and more recently through the Health Disciplines Board investigation in 1991. In fact, 600 individuals and organizations have responded to this issue, and almost all recommend recognizing midwifery and regulating it through professional legislation. My question to the member, will the Chair of the Professions and Occupations Council abandon the stalling tactics she exhibited today and recommend that formal designation under the Health Discipline Act be introduced immediately so that implementation, education, and regulations committees can get on with the job and carry out the recommendations of the report?
Actually, I like the question. You should have listened to the radio talk show. That isn't what I said at all. As a matter of fact, I was promoting this report of the Midwifery Services Review Committee. And while I was promoting it, I indicated to the public that this report is out there for public discussion, and it would be important to have feedback from the taxpayers of Alberta to see, in fact, if we can afford the designation of midwifery.
Mr. Speaker, this member dumps on a proposal that has had intense public scrutiny, saying it may be too expensive. Mr. Speaker, the committee's report was clear in its recommendations for integration of midwives to avoid duplication of services, and there have been numerous studies on cash benefits. I will pass two on to the minister for her information. In fact, it costs $300,000 to train a doctor.
Order, order, order. Thank you for the succinct introduction to this supplementary question. Now the question, please. Please.
Mr. Speaker, will the member now get on with the job of bringing forward the legislation so that women in Alberta can have the kind of health care they want when they have babies?
Here, here.
Well, Mr. Speaker, I don't know why the member is getting so emotional about this report. As a matter of fact, Midwifery Service Review Committee has a very excellent report, which I support publicly. It needs examination for cost. I don't think the member is aware of the cost, and the public should be aware of the cost before the midwifery group is designated for self-governing.
Thank you. Vegreville, followed by Edmonton Meadowlark.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ever since they signed the free trade deal, the Americans have used their export enhancement program to steal markets from Canadian grain farmers and drive their incomes to near record lows. Now it seems that American actions are undermining the markets and incomes of vegetable producers in southern Alberta, where prices have fallen as much as 17% for carrots and beets that are grown for canning. And I'd like to ask the Minister of Agriculture what, if anything, he's doing to help these producers in this important industry in southern Alberta cope with falling incomes and market erosion.
Yeah, good Mr. Speaker, the free trade agreement has certainly brought both pluses and negatives to Canada. I think it's fair to say from an agricultural perspective in Alberta and in Western Canada, the pluses have far outweighed the negatives and have led to new jobs and new processing plants in our province. As far as the specifics involved here, if those producers are having difficulty adjusting to the marketplace, we're always prepared to work with them on stabilization programs and other forms of assistance that fit the needs.
By Alberta should be more than just a slogan. It should mean something to producers and retailers as well. And I think people have had enough of conservative governments who always kowtow to the Americans. It's about time a government stood up to them. And I'd like to ask the Minister of Agriculture if he's prepared to lobby the federal government to do an investigation into the alleged practices of dumping of American produce into the Canadian market.
Good idea.
Mr. Speaker, Better Buy Alberta is a program that was developed with support from this government, continues to enjoy support from this government, and is certainly a direction that we are working and putting forward money and effort, and that is to make people aware of which are Alberta products and encourage those people to consume those Alberta products. However, we cannot have the privilege of selling into our neighbor's marketplace where we export a significant amount of our beef, a fair amount of our pork, and many other products, and tell them, on the other hand, they cannot come into our marketplace. We can encourage our consumers to give favorable attention to our products, but we cannot bar the competitors' products and expect our products to go south. And far more of ours go south than theirs come north.
Meadowlark, followed by Little Bow.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we're hearing a new line now. These deficits aren't really deficits, they're simply revenue losses. How can the Treasurer continue to rationalize an ongoing 7-year billion-dollar structural deficit under the guise of declining resource revenues when what he's really got to do is come to grips with a new revenue reality?
You, Dick.
The Liberal Party, of course, has confirmed time and time again that it would do one thing for Albertans, It would spend, spend, spend. It would introduce additional taxes, including more sales taxes. This government does not stand for that proposition, Mr. Speaker.
Speaker, what revenue lottery is the Premier expecting to win? Maybe next year or the year after that or the year after that or 1999 or 2005 in order to save his budget and pay down this spiraling, uncontrolled debt?
Richard the Debit Hearted. Speaker, I thought that the Doom and Gloom brothers were left sometime below. We've heard nothing but doom and gloom from the opposition parties now over the past 2 years. We know fully that both socialist parties have lost any new ideas about how to cope with the changing environment. And certainly neither of these socialist parties have any plan of action which will take us through the 90s. This party does, Mr. Speaker. The Conservative Party has done several things over the past couple of years. First of all, when the plan of action was presented in 86, 87, when the price of oil fell to those perilous levels, Mr. Speaker, we presented a plan which allowed us to work our way out of a very difficult deficit, Mr. Speaker. And we controlled the sides of our expenditures, Mr. Speaker. We used the economic strengths of this government, including the Heritage Fund, and we did not unload the taxes on the backs of Albertans, as the Socialist Party and various other models have done, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, when the time comes for us to accept the challenge of the new changes in natural gas revenues, we'll do it with the same kind of even-handedness, the same clear thinking that Albertans expect of this government. And we will not, Mr. Speaker, use the same kind of calamitous action, the doom and gloom position taken by the opposition parties. We're optimistic about the future of this province.
Little Bow, followed by Edmonton Calder.
Mr. Speaker, my question is to the Minister of Culture and Multiculturalism. There's been a good deal of controversy about the funding of the regional library systems. In fact, concern has been expressed that there may no longer be any resource sharing grants available to these library systems. Would the Minister indicate if you're planning to cut the legs out from under the library systems which have worked so hard to rely on this funding?
Mr. Speaker, the matter is a budgetary matter, but I can say a couple of things about the resource-sharing grants. There has been a considerable amount said, granted, most of it incorrect, including the Liberal critic who says rural Albertans will no longer have access to library services. Mr. Speaker, that is absolutely false. Mr. Speaker, our plan to expand the rural regional library systems is continuing. Our plan to continue to support libraries in a very generous way is continuing. Mr. Speaker, any changes that are coming in the resource-sharing end of things are coming to provide service in a more cost-effective and more efficient manner. And I dare say that users of libraries all across this province, whether they're in small towns or in large centers, will continue to have the availability of interlibrary loans, and that great service that has been provided through regional systems and through individual libraries will continue. Mr. Speaker, the books and resources will be available to be shared on an ongoing basis.
Please.
My supplementary, Mr. Speaker, is again to the Minister. To be specific, the Chinook Arch Library Network has been working extremely hard for a good number of years to create a regional library system. Will the Minister give us assurance that their efforts and the commitments of other municipal districts for this current fiscal year will not have been in vain?
Mr. Speaker, the Chinook Arch Library System has been operating, trying to operate for a considerable period of time. The government has made a considerable amount of money available to them to continue that effort. As a matter of fact, Mr. Speaker, on the 2nd of April, I wrote to the mayor of Picture Butte and, in fact, let him know that the ministerial order approving the formation of the Systems Board has, in fact, been signed, Mr. Speaker. The question now of money attaching to that library system is, of course, a budgetary matter. But I will do everything I can to make sure that that Chinook Arch Library System will be established. It will be allowed to operate. It will have staff and will have resources applied to it. And I hope that we can, in the course of time, provide all the dollars that they're expecting and hoping for and that they desperately need.
Edmonton Calder.
Here, the Minister of Family and Social Services admitted yesterday with respect to the client benefit cards that he is prepared to cut people off social assistance simply because they cannot read or write or because they are ill or disabled and will not be able to fill the cards out. The Minister stated that he's satisfied that there is adequate support for clients in difficulty, but what he really means is that he is prepared to unload yet more responsibility onto community agencies.
Right.
Given that other provinces have tried and abandoned the idea of client reporting cards because of serious problems, I would ask the Minister, instead of implementing this plan, which will no doubt terminate people's benefits, will the Minister agree to ensure adequate access to the Department's social workers, which currently people don't have?
Speaker, it's not a matter of unloading responsibility onto community agencies. It's a matter of unloading responsibility back onto the individuals that are using the services, Mr. Speaker. I don't think it is at all unreasonable for us to be able to have current information from each of the individuals that are accessing our programs. In piloting it, Mr. Speaker, in other regions and other offices, it doesn't appear to be a problem for individuals that are experiencing problems of illiteracy or problems of language barriers, Mr. Speaker. They're getting the necessary help and support to be able to fill out those cards. But bottom line, Mr. Speaker, it's information that we need to have, it's information that we're entitled to have, and yes, there is responsibility for individuals on our programs.
I don't know where the Minister is getting his information, because certainly the community is concerned that people will not be able to fill these cards out.
Right.
But, Mr. Speaker, given that these cards now request information about income which is currently exempt from deductions such as family allowance, the GST credit, and the child tax credit, will the Minister make a commitment that he will not deduct these tax refunds which rightfully belong to the people who receive them?
Right.
Good question.
Mr. Speaker, I responded to that last year and indicated that no, we wouldn't be clawing back a family allowance or GST rebates.
Mulbar, followed by West Yellowhead.
Mr. Speaker, we now have the recommendations on mental health services. We really would have preferred to see action. But, Mr. Speaker, my questions are to the Minister of Health. When will the Minister table an action plan with time frames for these recommendations?
Well, Mr. Speaker, let me remind the House that the policy paper that I released last week provides a very sound basis for planning mental health services in this province. And if the honourable member doesn't believe in the policy direction or doesn't believe we need a policy direction at all, then I would welcome her putting that on the record. I think it's a disservice to the paper to specifically commit it to timelines. And if she would like to suggest some timelines to the Assembly, I'd be more than happy to review them. But what this is a statement of policy, of where we want to be, and it interacts with our strategic planning on mental health as it fits into the entire health system, which does have timelines attached to it, but perhaps she has some suggestions in that regard.
Recommendations in the policy paper are exactly the kinds of things we've been asking for and demanding for years now. Mr. Speaker, this is not good enough. The credibility of the government's at stake as well as people's lives. Will the Minister respond immediately to the need and develop functioning crisis centres?
Hear, hear. Good question.
Well, Mr. Speaker, I think the underlying assumption in the honourable member's question is that we're going to move from acute, in fact, intensive psychiatric care in an acute care facility right out into a community care option. And what this paper tries to do is look at all of the areas in between, including inpatient rehab, including outpatient rehab, including long-term care, including community support, including mental health promotion. All of those are part of the continuum of mental health that we are attempting to develop. How we deal with crisis in the psychiatric field is not simply solved by creating yet another institution It's in getting the continuum to commit to dealing with whatever comes its way, which is what the whole focus of this paper is about.
Mr. Yellowhead?
Rural electrification associations are hopping mad with the Minister of Transportation and Utilities for threatening to deny them government benefits unless they toe the line and join the Federation of REAs. Mr. Speaker, I'd like to file a copy of a letter the Minister sent to an REA member indicating that unless his REA joined the Federation, the Minister would cut off government funding for things like brushing and upgrading transformers.
Oh, really? Good gracious.
I'd like to ask the Minister, given that the membership in the Federation of REAs is supposed to be voluntary, not compulsory, how can the Minister justify penalizing these REAs who do not wish to join?
Socialists. How are we making out? Thank you. Forgot the answer already. Mr. Speaker, the comments by the honourable member from West Yellowhead deserve some response. Number one is there is absolutely no NO cutbacks in any of the programs that are available to any member of any REA. What I did say, and so that you hear it from the horse's mouth, is that if they are members of the Federation, there will be a couple of other benefits that will be available. But you, REA members, make the choice.
The fact remains, Mr. Speaker, that the Minister is using the heavy hand of government to force REAs to join what is supposed to be a voluntary federation. Will the Minister order a vote of all REAs to determine whether they wish the Federation members to be compulsory, and if not, will he stop using heavy-handed tactics to force them to join the REA?
Mr. Speaker, heavy hand. I guess the best response that I can give so that it's clearly understood, and that's why I'm slowing it down, is that each of the REAs are independent bodies elected by the members of that REA, and if they choose to belong to the Federation, it is their choice. When the Federation, whoever they are, get in place some benefits, those who are not members share in those benefits as well. And so what I was attempting to do was to get the total team cooperating by saying, we take nothing away from you, absolutely nothing. But we are going to add a couple of benefits to the members of the Federation, and if you would like those benefits, you choose.
That's it. Good going, Bob. There's an item of business related to yesterday's question period and also to Friday. The member for Stony Plain.
Mr. Speaker, yesterday the Minister of Health responded to some comments I had made on Friday and asked me to substantiate the fact that there were, in fact, offers made to cost-share immunization programs. I would like to table, or file rather, one copy of a letter from an official of Medical Services Branch and another copy from an official of the County of Parkland, and also I'll send copies over to the Minister so she has them on hand. Thank you.
It's just simply a filing, honourable member. Orders of the day. Okay. Minister of Transportation and Utilities has an item. Sorry, I forgot. An item of clarification for earlier in the day.